what's truth? Are you tired of being so confused?
Let's spam that like button, get it shared, get it out there. Ryan Weaver is in the house.
Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's stuff.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan Weaver. I am on the Don't Unfriend Me show, otherwise known as The DUM Show, with host Matt Spear. You guys can find the show at The DUM Show on social media or thedumshow.com.
What is going on, everybody? I am so excited. I just got done talking to Ryan for, I don't know, Olivia, what were we talking about? 40, 48, 49 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, I was gone most of the time.
It wasn't long enough. Hey, pop up the DUM Show logo if you wouldn't mind, please. Folks, this is the DUM Show. My name is Matthew Spear. Matthew Spear is going to be popping up now when Olivia pushes that too. All the way to the left, top left.
I did it.
No, you put the call sign. I need you to put up Matthew Spear.
Oh,
yeah,
that one.
hit there. Find the button, Olivia.
That's your job again.
Oh, stop it. Don't tease me. Folks, Matthew Spear with the Don't Unfriend Me show. We just got done recording about 49 minutes. It wasn't enough. Tonight, we will fill those gaps with Ryan Weaver. He is in the green room along with Leroy and Amy. They are chilling. They're drinking a little bit of scotch. They're loosening up. They'll be here shortly. Remember, your questions are important to the show. Please do that. Call lines will not be open right away. I just know that that's going to be a complete kerfuffle, so we're not going to even do it. We're going to be talking a little bit about politics, talking about Ryan's politics, talking about his military service. He is a country music star. We're going to listen to some of his music. It's going to be a great time tonight. And then we will have the recorded show out to you within the next day or two, which will be exciting. Folks, with no further ado, I want to show you, first of all, who we're going to be talking to. This is a 3-minute video in regards to Ryan, what he does, and what he is about. I think it's important to kind of understand who he is. So give this a watch. We'll be right back live with the entire Don't Unfriend Me team and Ryan Weaver.
Ryan Weaver!
What I have is a backstory that got me into country music.
1 second. Do we have sound? It's what always happens.
Yes. I can hear it.
But I want you guys to get to know me. I want you to know who I am as a person, what the American dream outside the box is really about when it comes to me. And then I also want to show you a little bit of insight into country music and how things are done. All right, so there's my family. My brother, Aaron, is sitting in the back. He was my only full-blood sibling. Both my brothers were there when I graduated flight school. That was me flying just before Christmas. And little did I know that 2 weeks later, I would be receiving the news that my brother shot down and killed everyone on board. That last picture that you saw was the last picture we ever took of each other. That was my final salute to Aaron. That's tough. After that, it was time for me to focus. It was time for me to change my perspective and try to do the best that I could. And this is when things started getting fun. Because we've got to talk about music. We got to talk about what I love to do. Getting on stage, I actually love motivational speaking. I love to get up and talk to folks about my story. Love to talk about my brothers. But music is really where I find my joy. Sean Gleason, who I didn't know who he was, hands me his card and says, "Hey, I work with a PBR. We got something planned for 2017 I really want you to get involved with." I said, "Oh, that's great. I truly appreciate it. I've always wanted to get involved with the PBR." You're exactly what the PBR wants and represents. We are a patriotic organization. We support our heroes. We treat people the way that we want to be treated. You're perfect for what we want to do. Starting my music career, things are going great, and I have this motivation because I've got Aaron behind me. Like, he's in my corner. And I'm pushing as hard as I possibly can because I'm not going to let a second go by without honoring his sacrifice, because he gave it all, and I'm still here to talk. I'm still here to make a difference and still continue to serve. Love to be able to share it with you on the eve of the day I lost my brother. And I can't thank you enough for the time that you've spent listening to me, and let us melt your faces tonight when you come to the concert. We'll have a great time. Thank you.
Oh, country of the brave, it's the land of the free. Small town heroes, big city dreams. Oh, that's what America means to me. That's what America means to me.
Thank y'all so much for having me.
You know, I've seen that video now a couple times. First time I watched it, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it gets you. Every video I've seen like that always, you know, plays the heartstrings. But now after talking to Ryan for an hour, I'm sitting here wiping my eyes like a baby. It's amazing. Personal connection changes you. It changes who you are as a person. I think you're going to find that with Ryan tonight, that he will impact your life. He already has in such a short period of time with me. I want to introduce, I will say my friend, Ryan Weaver is here with all of us tonight. And Ryan is in the top right-hand corner. He gets the position of honor. You can wave down at Leroy and wave over, and we can do some Brady Bunch with Amy. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Weaver, welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate you guys, man. I'm sitting here watching this stuff and I'm crying. So people can get ready for all kinds of stuff tonight, I guess, because I don't care if I cry in front of people. It doesn't matter. That what you guys just did, that was an incredible promo. Thank you so much. You made me look like a rock star.
Well, you are a rock star. I mean, that's what's cool about it. Is that's why you're on the show. If you weren't a rock star, we wouldn't even have you here. So that's why we want you. First of all, Amy, why don't you go ahead and walk through a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we'll have Leroy, and then I'll do it quickly. And then, you know, for people who haven't watched the show, because we have a lot of Ryan's fans, we will have a ton of people on tonight. I have a good feeling about that. So Amy, you go first.
Yeah. So Ryan, first of all, welcome. Thanks for being here. This is a super huge honor, I think, for everyone, our listeners, for all of us. So we're super excited. I'm Amy. I live not too far from Matt, and I'm a real estate agent in the Northern Virginia area. So, and obviously I'm very opinionated and love to talk about current events and politics and, I don't know, just like people. So I think that's how I got here, right? Because I do my own little crappy show, and then I'm on this awesome show.
Crappy show. You're supposed to say, like, I like long walks on the beach. I like tofu. I'm an Aries. What's your idea of a perfect date?
April 29th.
April 20. Go ahead, Olivia.
April 29th, because it's not too hot and it's not too cold, and all you need is a light jacket.
It's a perfect date. Leroy, tell them who you are.
Yeah. So, well, my name's Leroy Brown. I go by Leroy Jenkins on the show because it makes me sound like I'm a badass, but that's not true. Navy, active Navy. I got out long time ago. I did the reserves for a good long time. I did the same thing that Matt does, and I don't want to say what that is. I still have deep connections in the industry, and became political probably in the early 2000s. It was right when I started to see subtle changes throughout society and realized that, you know, voting patterns were kind of leading how that kind of evolved. After that, you know, it was about 2 years ago, I first caught on to Matt's show, started chatting with him, found out we had some similar connections, some, you know, a similar background, and I've been on here ever since.
Yeah, we had the same transformational surgery, and we're both, you know, very happy that we did. I had a penis reduction surgery. He had an increase. So it's
I thought you were going to talk about my back.
That wasn't good. God, sound effects are already coming in. Matt Spear, host of Don't Unfriend Me. I started this simply because the lifelong family and friends of my wife and I, who were godparents to my children, because my wife voted for Donald Trump, they excommunicated us from the family. I didn't even tell anyone who I voted for, and they just said, "You're done." And they threw away 12 years of an amazing, close tie, family knit experience. And I went on Facebook to my 300 followers who were friends, not even followers, they were friends. And I created a rant, and COVID was in there and everything. And then all of a sudden they're like, it got like 3,000 views. People started sharing it, and Don't Unfriend Me was born. And here we are. And now we're interviewing somebody like Ryan Weaver. They're not here for me. So Ryan, tell everyone who you are. Give us a brief idea into the mind of Ryan Weaver, because I think we're going to have a little bit of a deeper conversation, a funner conversation, because now we get to go into politics. We get to drop a few bombs. Ryan, welcome to the show, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first and foremost, everybody that's on this, we have, I'm seeing on my phone that's recording this, and Facebook that's down here that's a little bit behind, we got 87 people that are watching this. If every single one of those 87 people would share this link to this video, now we got 91. We could get 1,000 people on here. It's
going to grow fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, if everybody had just shared out there, it'd be great. I don't know where to start, but my mom and my dad were in the back seat of a '69 Camaro, and well, we won't go to that point.
No, you should go to that. Hold on. Can you say it slower? Can you say it a little slower? No, go ahead.
I have a song called Like a Love Song that we have not released yet, that we're eventually going to release, but a '69 Camaro is my favorite car, and I say '69 Chevy. In that song, we talk about it. There's always something that has to do with me and my songs. But anyway, I digress. I started off as a military intelligence analyst. After I grew up with a large military service family. Grandfather was in World War II. Our dad was a Marine. Brothers were Rangers, and I followed in their footsteps and went in as a military intelligence analyst. And as a E6, which would be a staff sergeant, I went to flight school and was transitioned, become a warrant officer and a BLACKHAWK aviator. And that's kind of how I got into country music after some stuff happened along the way. Wow, look at that. My name was look at the size of my name. Oh my gosh, it's moving everywhere.
That's what Olivia said.
That's pretty freaking awesome right there. Like, I wish I could do. Hold on.
We do cool stuff. Do we spare no expense? Listen, this show is it may look white trash, but trust me, it's not. It's highbrow, buddy.
Pretty awesome. Yeah. So I mean, I got into country music after. We can get into the storyline of it, but got into country music, and it's been one hell of a ride since. It's been incredible.
All right, first of all, where'd you do your intel training at? I got to know. I wanted to ask in the recording show, but I didn't do. Where?
Huachuca, Arizona, Fort Huachuca.
Yep. Fort Huachuca. All right. So we did our intel training, East Coast, Virginia, Nimitz, Dam Neck, Naval Marine Corps Intelligence Training Center. And then Leroy's been all over the world. And then, we both have traveled quite a bit. We could probably share some stories. All right. So you went in the military, and you're like, I want to go into intel. Why? Now, I went in the military quickly because I wanted to. I got reading Jack Ryan books, which was the big mistake, right? Because then I was like, okay, well, I want to be Jack Ryan. And little did I find out that has nothing to do with intelligence. But that's okay. My recruiter lied to me. Of course, he screwed everybody. It's kind of like lawyers in prison. My lawyers screwed me. Recruiters screwed me too. What made you want to go into military intelligence, Ryan?
It was straight up because I wasn't as hardcore as both of my brothers. They were both, my oldest brother, Steve, he was already a warrant officer at the time, but he was 2nd to 75th in the Ranger Regiment for 2nd to 75th. And my brother Aaron was in the 3rd to 75th and as a Ranger. And I just wasn't as hardcore as they were and chose a different route. I decided to. Maybe I thought I was one up in my brothers. I don't know, because I went military intelligence. I think it was because of the story that my dad told when the recruiter came back and Aaron had chosen Airborne Rangers and getting into the Ranger Regiment when he scored a 99 on the ASVAB and could have chosen any job he wanted. And
Ranger.
And the recruiter came
he
back
went with 50. He went with a 51 score Ranger. I mean, that's 99. The Navy probably scratched on his door. I'm like, hey, you want to go nuke?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
we both were getting that from our ASVABs that we took in 11th grade. But all that aside, Steve came back from the recruiters, and the recruiter said to my dad that he joined the Ranger Regiment so he could be a Rangers because he wanted to be harder. My dad that was a Marine, and my dad said, "Well, out of spite, you've made it a whole lot harder on yourself than it would have ever been on me," because he was a Marine reservist. But and then Aaron wanted to follow in Steve's footsteps, and admirably so. The two greatest men that I've ever known in my life were my dad and my brother Steve. Aaron's the third greatest man I've ever known in my life, but Aaron followed in Steve's footsteps, and this was before I joined the military. So, being a military service member, going in as a military service member behind them, I wanted to one up them and do something smarter because I heard my dad's stories about how dumb he thought Aaron and Steve were for going to Ranger Regiment. But,
Right,
they were all
right.
poking fun at each other, that kind of thing. They're poking fun at each other. But for me, I just wasn't as hardcore as they were. Aaron was a stud. I mean, he was a stud in every sport that he ever did. He had a different kind of mentality than I had. I was the more emotional kid growing up. But initially, I was going to go 2 years into the military, and then of course you get down to MEPS and they show you all the screens, and I was finding all these shit jobs to do in the military that I wasn't interested in, and intelligence analyst came up, and I'm like, ooh, let me check that out.
Fun.
It turned into a 6-year commitment, top secret clearance, which they were telling me of all the great things that a top secret clearance could do for you after you got out of the military, which I never took advantage of. But so that's the route that I took. I may have taken a different route on it, but I still used Aaron, and Aaron is my standard of performance. His promotion rate, all the things that he had happened to him in the Ranger Regiment were still my standard performance.
Right.
And even as a military intelligence analyst, I was given the option of potentially going to Ranger School. And by the time that I got to that point, there were two things that I loved to do: eat and sleep. And you didn't get to do either one of them in Ranger School.
Yeah.
So I decided against going to Ranger School when I walked over a field desk on CQ duty at night when I'm trying to stay awake at 2:00 in the morning, and walked over the field desk and crushed the phone and said, you know what? I think I'm going to pass on the Ranger School.
So we've got some comments in the field. I'm just going to do one real quick. Then Olivia's
I'm trying to keep up with them. I got my computer down
just
here.
Stay out of the scroll. Stay out of the scroll, because you're going to see people are telling Leroy to fuck off, and you're like, God, what type of fans are these? It's actually tradition. We have to tell Leroy to F off every episode, so it's tradition. Everyone does it. So the dummies, as they're known, have their own little world. So if you get caught up in that, Ryan, I'm warning you, you may never come back. One of the comments was, is it wrong to mention that he's a stud too? So we've got some female admirers that are saying that you're a stud as well, even though you're an intel guy and a bookworm, according to your opinion of yourself at that young age. I think you're selling yourself short. Olivia, did we have another question you wanted to throw out there, please?
We did. Amy Stancombe, who's one of our original listeners and is here every night, says Ryan needs to be asked the ultimate dumb nation question: do you like pineapple on your pizza?
Ooh.
Oh, yes, I do.
Oh, yay.
Son of a bitch. All right. Well, folks, that's it for the show tonight. Thank you so much for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. Ryan has to leave.
You still pre-gaming me on it. Yeah, I love pineapple on my pizza.
There are no
I
pineapples
can't help
in Italy.
it. It is what it is.
There's no
I was stationed
pineapple in
Hawaii
Italy.
for 3 years, and they introduced me to the Hawaiian pizza. And
Whatever.
friggin', man, nothing like eating a Hawaiian pizza and drinking tequila on the beach, man. There's nothing like it.
So
It's not pizza unless there's
ask,
pineapple on it.
Whatever.
I have to
Go
ask,
ahead, Leroy.
how many
Whatever.
times did you envision yourself while you're going through the military intelligence school, the Army intelligence school? How many people walked up to you and said, Ryan, some things in here don't react too well to bullets?
Okay, you
did that ever
first
happen?
of all, that was Welsh. It's Ryan. Some things in here don't react too well with bullets. You got to do it right.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. You hear that a lot?
No.
Little Hunt for Red October. We're movie fans here, and you're going to hear obscure references all the time. But yeah, So, Leroy, did you have a real question, or was that really your question?
No, it was a joke / question.
All right. Well, we'll get into all that. So you
I
went
do
to
love the movie.
Intel. It is a good movie, but and what's funny is that 30 years later, in the 30-year anniversary, Alec Baldwin decided to shoot somebody, and So this time it wasn't a Russian KGB Politburo cook who was trying to melt down the ship, the boat. It was too soon. Is that too soon? Oh shit! I'm sorry. Did I do that, Alec Baldwin? Don't sue me. Allegedly, you shot somebody. Okay, let's make sure we do it. All right. So you went to Intel, then you became a chopper pilot. What was it that made you say, "All right, I want to fly choppers"? Which, in my opinion, if I'm gonna be an aviator, my dad always said, he's like, choppers are the squirreliest damn things in the world. And he was a Cessna pilot, and they can just decide that they don't want to fly anymore. And there's really not much you can do, because it's not like a plane where you have a glide slope. It's a fucking chopper. It's a brick with a propeller. If I'm understating this, then you can just say, Matt, you're full of it. None of this is true, but educate me. What made you want to do this?
Well, first and foremost, they teach us the entire time during flight school how to crash a helicopter and survive it. It's not, I mean, that's really what it boils down to. Learning emergency procedures and limitations of a helicopter is required, word for word memorization, rote memorization, whatever it may be, because they're constantly teaching how to crash it and how to crash it safely. Helicopters aren't meant to fly. They say that you could teach a monkey to fly a helicopter, and it's not the flying part that is the hard part. It's the taking off and landing, because it's never the flying part that kills you. It's the sudden stop at the bottom. But I followed in my brother's footsteps. My oldest brother, Steve, he went out. He was in the Ranger Regiment, got out, went to school, then went back in, flew Cobras, then OH-58s, then the OH-58 Delta Kiowas. And then Aaron followed in his footsteps. He was in the 3rd to 75th and the ambush in Mogadishu that BLACKHAWK Down was made after. He was one of the Rangers on the ground. He's actually interviewed in the History Channel interviews of the making of BLACKHAWK Down, if you want to hear him speak. First time I heard him speak after he was killed in action was when I played that for my candidates. And there's a Kiowa right there. A lot of folks don't know what a Kiowa is. It's interesting, but yeah, both my brothers flew that, and I did not. I went a different route, but so I followed in their footsteps, and I was a recruiter, which sucked ass.
Forgot
for
to
the
ask
Army.
you about that.
I was a Sunday night, and I was flooring a kid to go to MEPS the next morning to join the military, and on a Sunday night. And Aaron called me. He was at flight school and said they changed the vision standards because I didn't think I had 20/20 vision. They changed the vision standards to 20/50 correctable to 20/20, and he said you ought to think about putting your packet in. And I was going through some stuff personally, and with my ex-wife now, but went home, said I'm thinking about putting my packet in, because I had submitted it as an E4. Had something up with my pupil dilation, not to get off on a tangent here and go forever, but anyway, got selected for flight school or on my first round on the next board, and was gone 3 months after that and attended flight school down at Fort Rucker. So, and choice of aircraft was really because my brother Steve was. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Leroy's. We're just agreeing. We're ugging and oohing and eyeing, especially when you say things where we've crossed paths. So you might name a base where we're like,
I've had to hitch a ride on a couple of the SH-60s, and I've got some stories that. Yeah. Sorry.
I bet you do. Yeah, so I mean, aircraft selection. I was 4th in my class for aircraft selection. My brother Steve was going to, I believe, he was going to Bosnia, and was in a train-up session at Fort Rucker for Bosnia. And he and I had sat down and did a list of pros and cons. Initially, I was going to choose Chinooks, and duty station possibilities for Blackhawks were significantly more, because Chinook was a core asset, which they were very limited on where you could get stationed for them. So chose Blackhawks. Plus, Steve said that if he would have chosen, had his first choice on aircraft, he would have gone Blackhawks instead of Cobras at the time. But he ended up getting Cobras, and then ended up graduating top of my class in flight school at the end of all the leadership course, which was great. So it helped me out with my duty stationing and different things like that. But so that's why I ended up going into Blackhawks instead of Kiowas and following my brother's footsteps. And I would say, fortunately and unfortunately, the one Chinook that was available in our class was picked by a guy named Chad Prather, and that Chinook disintegrated. And he was piloting a Chinook in Afghanistan when it disintegrated in a sandstorm. So could have been me in that circumstance. Everything happens for a reason. So he was a great guy. He was a hilarious guy, and you know he happened to pick the Chinook, the one Chinook that was available in our class. And but having said that, you know, I don't regret picking Blackhawks. I thought it was an outstanding airframe. Every aviator and crew chief that I got to fly with, I still have friendships with multiple guys, and I have very few friends previous to that in most of my military career, but I have friendships with multiple guys. I actually got to go to perform in Australia with a PBR this past year and met up with a great friend of mine, Steve Flemister, that he's still flying for the Australian Army over there. It's kind of cool, but you know, it was an outstanding experience to be able to say that I did it. Can't say that I was as passionate about it as both my brothers, because Steve, my oldest brother, is still flying for a civilian company right now. And once Aaron died in Iraq in 2004, my dream and my desire to fly helicopters after that ended. 100% ended.
Did you get out shortly after that, or was it before that?
Aaron died in 2004, and I retired in 2012. I went back from Germany. I was non-deployable because of the Sole Survivor Act. And became a TAC officer at Warrant Officer Candidate School and an academic instructor. That was my flight school graduation right there. I graduated top of my class in both of them.
Wow.
Wow.
Dude, it's a heavy story. And see, I'm sorry, I apologize, because in that one point it sounded like I was laughing. I thought you said Chad Prather. Is that just synonymous with the other Chad Prather who?
It is. It's actually the same guy that I have "He's Still Your President" the song with. So yeah. It's interesting that, But anyway, that picture.
It's a small freaking
flying
world.
Before Christmas.
Yeah,
that's
it's a small world, man.
Before Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great shot. It's like I said, military is
that photo hit me.
Dude, I know, man. I could see it in your face, and I'm not trying to I'm not trying to get you. I mean, this has been an emotional night already. It's just, you know, it's a part of the story, right? You said it when you first started here. It is a part of the story. It's about who you
right
are.
Here on my desk.
Yeah.
Oh.
So when you
sorry guys, man, I didn't expect that.
No,
I cry all the
don't.
time. Don't worry.
This is me. This is me. Everybody that's watching, this is me. You're not getting anybody different than the guy that stands on stage and gets to live the dream. This is me.
I think that's why you're so loved, though. You're so honest and raw, and it comes through in everything that I've seen from you. It's really remarkable.
I would absolutely agree with that. I would say that something that really shines through when you're standing in front of crowds like that is the level of authenticity that I got, even from the videos that I've seen. Yeah.
Hey, just dial it up 2 decibels.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's not everywhere.
Hey, Leroy, turn up just a decibel or two on your audio, if you could. And you were probably softboxing it a little bit, which is fine, because I think we're all probably going to do that tonight. Livy, we got some comments. Anything going? Nope,
No
we're good. All right.
yet.
So listen, Leroy, I know you've got some questions for Ryan. I've got questions for Ryan. We'll probably do a little bit of Q&A for another 15 minutes or so, and then we'll get cooking. Our audience really kind of shows up between 8:30 and 9. Once they realize that nothing's good on Tim Pool's podcast, they come on over here, which is pretty much every night. So fuck you, Tim. So I wish I had his audience. I just want I'm a little jealous. He can take it. He's a millionaire. He can handle it. What's he going to do? He weighs like as much as my left leg. I'm really not worried about it.
See his house.
I curl him.
Yeah,
I would love to go on Tim's podcast. I really would. I think the guy's a stud. And what's the one guy, the military analyst who's a hippie? What was his name?
I can't remember. I know who you're talking about.
I want to argue with that. I want to argue with that guy. That's the guy I want to go toe to toe with. All right. So, Amy, I know you've got questions. Leroy, you have. I've already had a chance, but Leroy, go ahead. Why don't you pop one off, Amy, and then we'll get to some more interesting, up to date news and what's going on in the world, because this is where he really shines. Yes, the guy's a motivational speaker. Yes, he's a country music star, but I love his memes and I love how raw he is, and he pushes the boundaries on Instagram. And this is probably why he has a second account. Amy, you go first.
Okay, well, I didn't submit this question, but I have to ask it, and it's totally fine, I swear. But did you used to sing when you were in the military? Were you singing like with like on the Blackhawks or just, you know, wherever? Were you the one who was like always singing and starting, you know, the whole camaraderie thing with that? No?
No, I actually, when I was going through flight school, I was going through a divorce in the middle of flight school, and I talk about this when I do my motivational speaking, and I was broke off my ass. And I was doing karaoke to entertain myself for free, or very cheap cost. I could go get a soda, whatever it was, and go sing and entertain myself for a whole night. And I got asked, you know, there was a competition at Blues Canyon in Dothan, Alabama. And I entered into the competition and won, which surprised the heck out of me. And I won singing Amazed by Lone Star. There's such a full circle thing that's happening right now when it comes to this too, because I'll tell you guys, remind me to tell you about the full circle thing before we get off the podcast tonight, because it's the
Olivia,
whole Amazed by Lone Star thing really comes into play for next year. Anyway, I found a passion for it. It was the first thing. Aaron was still alive, so I had no idea that I was going to end up having to make my own path in that regard. But it was something I found out that I loved to do that had nothing to do with following in anybody's footsteps other than making my own path in that regard. So I won. Yep, there's the boy. Dean on the left-hand side. So Dean on the left-hand side of that picture of Lone Star, the founding member, keyboard player Lone Star. He and I have something going on I'll talk to you guys about later on. But anyway,
Olivia got all dreamy-eyed when you said you could sing Lone Star, and she's over here. She's like, "Oh, pitter patter." I'm like, "Dude, check yourself."
No, I just like the song "Amazed." It reminds me of you.
Oh, please! Aww. You don't need to say something. You don't need to make an unhurtful retraction. Go ahead, Ryan.
That's so great. But yeah, so I won, and I realized it was something I loved to do, and I entered in as many karaoke and singing karaoke competitions as I could. While I was in flight school, I'd win a television and I'd take it to the pawn shop and it'd help me pay my bills. And, you know, as a lot of military folks that are out there that have gone through divorce, you realize it's a really difficult time. It's tough. And, you know, it was my way of being able to deal with it, music and all that. That was actually, there's another cool story about that photo right there. I'm going to go off on a tangent here real quick that has nothing to do with what I was just talking about. So this was at the DC Project. Dinah Muller, who's in my latest music video, Let's Talk About Heroes. I was at a DC Project range, their annual shoot that they do, a 3-gun shoot. And the guy that flew that in, he's a W4. His last name's Condon. Spike Condon was my senior instructor pilot when I was learning to get through instruments and all that when I was at my duty station. Well, it turned out that Spike and I were in combat together as well. And he was there the day that I found out that my brother died. And his son ended up going to fly, and he's a W4. He's a W4 out in Texas. And I got to see him that day for the first time as a warrant officer and aviator, and we just took the helicopter that he flew in to that range to do a photo shoot with. It was really cool to see the next generation who now is about to retire from the military.
Yeah,
and I got to see him out at a range when I was supporting a Second Amendment. Amazing organization, Second Amendment, supporting any other women that are on this. Go check out the DC Project. Dinah Muller is an incredible human being. If you watch my music video, she is the lead character in that music video. Former law enforcement officer, but she supports women's gun rights. But all that came together. It's once again a full circle thing because Spike was out in Iraq with me the day my brother died, or the day I found out my brother died, and he got me my brother's patch that was on the back of my helmet. Yeah, outstanding. That's their logo right there. Perfect. I mean, just an amazing organization. So, if you guys remember, Dinah Muller got on when she was in front of Congress. She's the one that said, "If you come to take my firearms, I will not comply." She was that female that stood in front of Congress and said, "You come to take my firearms, I will not comply." She's a badass, but an amazing sweetheart, just an incredible human being. But she gave me the opportunity to see the son of someone. That's not Dinah Muller.
Nope, it's not. They got the wrong picture. Wrong picture.
Yeah, but that's one of the DC Project folks. If I can remember her name, I met like 20 of them at that event. Anyway, all that aside, she's an incredible person. But you guys go check out the DC Project. I go off on tangents sometimes. That's really important though, because I think it's important that the folks on this feed, especially, really get to know some of these nonprofit organizations out there that are supporting the goals that we have as patriots to keep this country free and to protect our American citizens from tyranny, but also to protect females from. There she is. That's Diana Muller. She's a badass. Oh man, you should see her shoot. Holy smokes! So not only is she an advocate for Second Amendment, she is one of the, most incredible firearms experts out there and shooters out there you'll ever see. You guys go check her out. There's her email right there if you want to get involved with the DC Project as well. She's just a badass. But anyway, love her to pieces. She's going to be in my next music video as well that I was just talking about as far as Dean Sams is concerned from Lone Star. We've got something coming up. But anyway, I digress. I guess we should get back to where we were.
Listen, brother, you've just basically listen. Okay, there's two type of podcasts. There is the Don't Unfriend Me podcast, and then there's every other podcast, and you fit in perfectly because I don't think I've ever stayed on topic in my life. So you're just filling in the role. I'm gonna go punch out. Hey, Leroy, nobody asked you. I can mute your mic. Knock it off now. Nobody needs comments from the peanut gallery. All right. Yeah. So Leroy, you got I know you got a question for Ryan. So why don't you throw it out there?
Well, I was wondering about, you had mentioned that you have a political philosophy, and I wanted to know how that transpired and how that played out.
Oh shit. Here we go.
Your military career.
Here we go.
That's pretty. Honestly, I served underneath 4 different presidents. I got to see the best and worst when it came to how the military was treated. But the bottom line was I became friends with the Benghazi guys, and I got to know their story. And to think if someone left my brothers behind to die, they died and were serving. But if someone left my brothers behind to die, I would have been a million times more passionate about the politics and what our country was heading to if Hillary became president. And that was really where I wasn't, and I'll be honest with everybody that's out there listening, I wasn't immensely pro-Trump because I didn't know a whole lot about him when he was going to run for president. None of us did. None of us knew what to expect.
No, not at all.
But I knew all I needed to know about Hillary, and I knew all I needed to know. So I was, during the election, I was immensely anti-Hillary. I wasn't immensely pro-Trump because, once again, there are so many politicians. I voted for Obama the first time. As a veteran, I voted for Obama because we need a change, even in our military, the way things were going at the end of the Bush presidency. Let's just be honest. We need a change in the way things were being done in our country. And you see this bright, shiny sales pitch that seems to, it's going to be something different. You see this bright, shiny sales pitch, and then when it went to shit in that first 4 years, then I was like, okay, so I didn't vote for him the second time. But outside of that, I became extremely passionate. And the thing is, everybody kept telling me, like, Ryan, you're a musician, you're an artist, this is going to be detrimental to your career. I fucking hate that picture.
Me too, man, because that's what it was selling. And guess what it was? It should be nope.
That's the reason why I got duped because of that. I got duped because of that. That's why I hate it. I feel stupid about it.
I didn't vote for him, but we all thought he had he was one of the best orators ever to be in the office. He could talk his ass off, but that's it.
Absolutely.
No, and the thing is, like, for me, I think that I feel stupid about it now, but I also look back at that situation. It was the reason why, when it came to this election, that I wanted to make sure that I was very well researched and knew what I was talking about and knew how to have debates with people about the things that mattered and what was going to change. And so when I think about my brothers being left behind, I think about having the passion and the sacrifice that they have for this country, but having the passion and the love for this country that they had, and the sacrifices that they made for their ultimate sacrifices they made for this country. If I wasn't willing to be a voice for the people who felt that if they spoke up that they would be canceled, if they spoke up that they would lose their jobs, if they spoke up all these things. I came back from combat, and you and I talked about it when folks go to watch this. I had survivors, and I still have survivor's guilt. Every single day I wake up and I wonder whether it should have been me or not. But the only way for me to get out there and still fight for what we believe in, what really matters to this country, the freedoms that we have to be successful and chase our dreams in these great United States of ours, is because of the sacrifices of much greater men than the people that are trying to burn this country to the ground right now. And I look at it that way. And if I'm not willing to keep my voice, if I'm not willing to get out there and speak about the things that matter and be truthful about it, and not be swayed by politics necessarily. Sure, the political landscape comes into it, and even patriotism is now political. Sure. Loving the flag is political, which is absolute bullshit. But that was the reason why I became so passionate about it, and why I was not willing to be silent. And then when we came out with Burn, right when the election was heating up, and people saw Burn, it became a political video as opposed to what actually happened on the ground. So if a lot of people haven't watched Black Hawk Down, I'm sure that most of your audience out there have watched Black Hawk Down. It was a movie about what happened on the ground, and it was legit. I mean, the politics weren't necessarily, and they pointed out what Bill Clinton didn't do. They pointed out the fact that he left our Rangers to die on the ground, and that was a Hollywood movie. And he was a Democrat, right? At the time. So you got to see the truth in that. They kept the politics out of it. They resorted to facts. When it came to the Benghazi situation, it was my video was about facts. The movie was about facts, and it bombed. Oh no.
No, you're okay. It'll catch up. It'll catch up.
You guys still there?
Yep, we're here.
Yeah,
it's going to save itself.
While we have a moment, while he's trying to gather himself, the one thing that he said just absolutely resonated is this idea that it's not about left or right. It's not about Democrats versus Republicans. It's about liberty versus tyranny.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
but see, but the problem with that makes it so damn difficult is there's one side that isn't aware of where it stands. They don't understand the hypocrisy in what they're doing. And they're just, this whole whataboutism thing it justifies their overarching and tyrannical mindset of, here's an example. Nazis burned books. Well, now Republicans are burning books and banning books. Well, that's not true.
That's not true.
In fact, one of the biggest memes out there right now shows a Barnes & Noble, and it shows the top 20, and it says, these are the top 20 banned books. Well, if they're banned books, how the fuck are you selling them?
I was going to comment on that.
You're not banning them. They're not banned. So what you're saying is that we should have cocaine in the vending machines. We should have Percocets for kids when they have headaches. We should have hustlers for sex education. Well, no, of course not. And they're like, well, that's completely dramatic. Well, when you have Pedro the gardener having intercourse with a 12-year-old kid, there's a fucking problem with that. And I don't want my kids seeing it. So, we have to delineate from this. It's black and white. There is a little bit of gray in here. Morality very rarely has gray, but indecisiveness on the pathway to morality does.
To add to your point, and I just want to throw this out there, what you're talking about is the fact that there's two problems on the left, and that is one of either willful or unwillful ignorance, and the other part of it is just that they don't want to listen. They don't want to have the conversation. They just want their emotions to rule the conversation.
Yeah. Well, I think we all understand that in the very least of these conversations. But like, here's an example. There's this guy named Ed Krasenstein. And I think his name is fake because it's Crass and Frankenstein put together. But these guys were not necessarily the most ethical human beings in the world. The federal government took, $575,000 back from them for a Ponzi scheme that they had with advertising, and these guys are huge players on Twitter, and all they do is just bash Trump, right? Breaking news: Trump's going to prison. We just spoke to. I mean, they are literally they make some of the gotcha headline Republicans look like Mickey Mouse, like Benny completely uses gotcha headlines. Everything they do is gotcha headlines. And whenever they do something that isn't gotcha, the first thing people say is, wow, you guys are actually informative when you're not bashing on Trump and making shit up. So these guys are sitting here going, well, Trump's going to prison for embezzlement. And I'm like, who are you to talk? And how can you sit here and make shit up about Donald Trump that may or may not be true, but you're sitting up here on a glass tower pretending that your shit doesn't stink? Where's your credibility? And there is no credibility anymore. And it's not about what happened. It's what can I go and pull out of my magic bag of tricks to dissuade people from feeling a certain way about something simply because something else in history happened that's similar. Right. You can sit here and say that racism is bad. That you can do that, of course. And you can sit here and say that the Republicans own a large portion of the Ku Klux Klan that's active in the United States, 3,000 of them. Okay, fine. You can say that the KKK is matriculated to the Republican Party. But what you don't get to do is sit here and pretend that for 150 years it wasn't owned by the Democratic Party and that their policies are still inherently racist based upon the inner city. But because people say, oh, well, you had some people vote for Donald Trump, therefore all association with those party politics is now on you. This is the myopic thinking that's stopping conversation in the United States today.
Yeah. Well, it's that unwillingness to take in fresh ideas.
Yes, it's all like we're always being called an echo chamber, right? On the right side, conservatives. And I really think there's two sides of politics, and I find myself falling into this, but on not the right side as in like I'm on the right conservative side, but like the right side because it's the right place to be. But I feel like a lot of people who are on, the left, not necessarily like, the mid or moderate left, but like the far, far left, it's all about who and rubbing elbows and making those connections, but it's not because they're trying to help each other. It's like this person can get me this, or I can get this access to this if I know this person, or getting in good with people. Right. And I love to connect people. I'm literally sitting here thinking like, man, I got to get Matt to meet David Keener, and then I got to get Ryan, and then all three of you guys together because he does the Gold Star Family event, the concert every year. Like, we got to get Ryan out here. Like, we got to do the DUM thing. Like, I'm just thinking like we got to connect people because we can do greater good. We can bring more awareness. We can do the greater good. And I think that's where a lot of people that are conservative want to make the connections and do the right thing of not rubbing elbows. I hate that term, but
yeah, I get what you're saying.
All together here, but like I don't know if I'm doing it the right way.
Doing just fine.
The way you almost explain it too, Amy, it's one of these deals where the more conventions that are had, the more we can gather an audience of individual thinkers, which is kind of ironic because you're talking about bringing a group of individuals together. But
I mean, here's the ad. Hold on a second. Here's the article that Olivia just linked, which shows all the books that are added to the ban list. Fahrenheit 451. Listen, more Republicans quote that book than any other book I've ever heard. Right? I know Leroy and I do. Mouse, To Kill a Mockingbird. Democrats banned To Kill a Mockingbird in California, not Republicans. 1984, another book always quoted by Republicans.
Always been.
Lord of the Flies, Animal Farm, another one, Of Mice and Men, The Hate You, Stamped from the Beginning, The 1619 Project, and Slaughterhouse-Five. None of these are banned.
Oh, Slaughterhouse-Five is so good.
None of these are banned. It's a complete fabrication. They're not banned. They're simply selected not to be in public libraries as far as children, high school. And children can't check them out at regular libraries. I mean, I don't understand what okay, let's take an example. Would everyone agree that the Anarchist Cookbook should not be on store shelves in any way, shape, or form? Would everyone agree?
Correct. I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Then great. The reason why is the society we've come together and said that the Anarchist Cookbook is not a good thing because we don't want Ted Kaczynski-like people knowing how to make terrorist-based devices that can end people's lives in a massive scale. So we have decided to remove that, and that's fine. Do we want the ability to buy cocaine and heroin on the dark web or buy weapons or hire assassins? No, because as a society, we've said, hey, this is a good idea. We should go ahead and remove this from everyday society. Same thing with planes. We subject ourselves to search and seizure without due process because inherently we all want to go ahead and land and not be crashed into a building. This is the same thing, but this is not censorship. This is just like the lies from the left about wanting to go ahead and defund the police, the Republicans. Now they're putting that on us. Are you shitting me? Saying that the Republicans want to defund the police? It's insanity. And you can't beat it because the mass media constantly shoves this down their throat and there's just no talking to them at all because they won't listen. They don't want to listen. The art of conversation is dead in the United States, and we're never coming back from this. This is now a generational level of stupidity that we cannot fix. We're going to be dead before we could.
There's a guy named David Hume who once said that it's seldom that liberty of any kind is lost all at once. And what he was basically trying to say is that it's an erosion process, and it's something that's slow, protracted, over this long period of time. And, literally you can watch it happening right now in terms of voting patterns. And that's scary.
Yeah.
Well, I think we lost Ryan. I know he was using his phone as a webcam and it looked like something happened to it because it rotated and it was just sitting there.
Or something.
Huh?
He did comment. He commented a little bit ago and said his phone, I saw it briefly. I think he said his phone died.
Yeah, he said his phone died and he didn't know what happened.
Okay, hold on. And, hey, if we lost Ryan, we got him for a little bit of time and that's fine. He'll be back. He's a good dude. Let's see.
He seemed awesome.
Oh, dude, just wait till you got him in a phone died. Not sure what happened. Well, listen, it's a bummer to lose him. We got him for some time and that's the most important thing. And I didn't expect him to sit here till 10 o'clock tonight. I do want to show his video burn and then we're going to get into some conversation and then we're going to make it an early night. I want to try to be out by 9:30, but I want to show you guys burn. It's a fantastic song. It's a great video. And I want to do it justice, and I want to make sure I show it to you because it's one of the things that I wanted to do, hearing when he was coming on, and I want to share it with you tonight. So let's watch that. I'm going to show you how to get to Ryan's site. We'll have him back on as soon as he can get that fixed, and we will go from there. Here it is.
It is important to remember that some of us come home at a price, and that some families are not so fortunate to have loved ones come home at all. Give thanks that you may reach that place. I do. CW2 Aaron A. Weaver, KIA 8 January 2004, Iraq.
13 Hotel, inbound. Let it up!
When you dare to take a breath, don't care about no medals on your chest. You're a steely-eyed killer shadow in the night. You were born to fight. You gotta light 'em up before they burn it down. Better all before they burn it down. It's a long way to home, but you won't take the hard road all alone. Just look to your left and look to your right. You were born to fight. You gotta light 'em up before they burn it down. Better dig deep, put 'em in the ground. Blood on their hands, they're hellbound. Save us all before they burn it down.
Chris Palazzo.
You gotta light 'em up before they burn it down. Better dig deep, put 'em in the ground. Blood on their hands, yeah, they're hellbound. Save us all. Ooh, they're gonna burn it down. Save us all before they burn it down.
That is good stuff. I absolutely love that freaking. That's like the third time today I've heard that song because I obviously had to cut it. Ryan's back. We got him in here. I got to fix his picture real quick. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it's working. Ryan, what happened? Did your phone blow up?
Dude, straight up,
Obviously had to
man.
cut it. Ryan's
I've
back.
never been on a podcast before where the podcast sucked more energy out of my phone than it would. I mean, it's even on a super speed charge, and that was my beautiful camera. So I apologize, guys. For the
Don't. You're streaming on 4K.
You're being live.
It pulls a lot of bandwidth. I mean, people don't understand. I mean, the computer I have is like, it's like a $10,000 computer because I got to stream 4K. I got to input all your sound. I got my sound. I got cameras working all over the place. I mean, it's an expensive thing. People always ask me all the time. They're like, "Hey man, how can I get a podcast system like yours?" I'm like, "Well, $40,000 and a back rub and you're set." You know, it costs a lot of money to do it right. Yeah. So especially on the iPhone, it sucks a ton of energy. But anyway, this is something that we talked about real quick. First of all, Burn, give people a little bit of a history. I know. Closely tied to 13 Hours. I love that movie. I'm a big John Krasinski fan anyway. I thought they did a great job putting that together.
That was Chris Paranto, right?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's a good flick.
Yeah.
My kids have seen it. I wanted them to understand it. I'm not a Hillary Clinton fan. In fact, she's one of my obvious targets of someone who I try to hold accountable because no one ever did. But anyway, tell us a little bit about Burn, and then we're going to get into just a little bit of political conversation. I want to get your take on a few things.
Right on. I apologize that I wasn't more prepared in that situation. I was trying to figure out how to get back in on my laptop while my phone was dead because I couldn't text you or anything. Anyway, all that aside, I did a show. I'll digress on that one. I did a show at Bridgestone Arena with Charlie Daniels called the Volunteer Jam, and he's done that since 1969 with the original Leonard Skinner. And I played between Ted Nugent and Michael W. Smith as someone. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody had an idea who I was, and I sang a song called "What You Think of Me" that I wrote on the 10th anniversary of Aaron's death in Iraq. And anyway, John Tigan, Tig, and Mark Oz Geist were there promoting 13 Hours Secret Soldiers of Benghazi, and I got to meet them when I was part of that show. And initially, Mark Geist was involved in getting the project started. We changed the lyrics just a little bit. I had already written the song, and it was more of a military-focused song, and we were trying to get it into the film before they got to the editing of the music for the movie. And John Tigan really got actively involved in it. Mark got him involved in it, and he helped me get Paramount to authorize use of the trailer clips from the film. So a lot of the explosion scenes and a lot of the different things that that you see in there are multi-million-dollar movie scenes that I would never have been able to afford to put in a music video. But John reached out to Paramount and got the authorization to use the trailer clips, and essentially the music video was going to be a promotion for the film. And he also got Chris Paranto involved in the project. Tonto and Chris was just incredibly generous and kind, and he's such a good human being. Both of them are. I mean, they're just great people. Everybody knows them as the heroes that they are, and I got to know them as friends, which is why I said, I really got to know these guys, and that's where my politics really started actively, coming into play, as far as not just being an artist or being a former military service member, but getting into the political realm. But once we got that funded, the music video funded, we had to bring everybody in. So if folks don't know, Mark is on, you have Michael Bay on the left-hand side, the director, Mark Geist, then Chris Paranto and John Tigan, and that they co-wrote the book, or had someone who actually wrote the book, but they told their story about what happened on the ground in Benghazi. But getting to know them really was personal for me, because their story of sacrifice and their story of fighting, side by side with their brothers and sisters in arms, and losing people that were in their care. It really struck a chord in me. It was very personal at that point. And then when I found out how they were treated, and the way that they were demonized as folks that were there just to save the lives of fellow Americans, when those and other folks as well, but how they were demonized and treated the way that they were treated, and all out of politics. My goal was to, obviously get involved in that and make sure that people knew the truth about it. But the music video itself was a launching pad for my career. I got to travel in a really amazing circle with the Charlie Daniels Group for a couple of years here in Nashville. Played Bridgestone Arena, Ryman Auditorium, Mother Church of Country Music. Got to open up for Charlie at that. Charlie introduced me onto the Grand Ole Opry on September 11th in 2015, which was incredible to have that music video from a country music icon, who obviously, who passed couple years after that. But it was just an incredible opportunity for me to honor the four fallen of Benghazi, a story that America really didn't get to know about, because just like all of the things that happened on January 6th and anything that was politically motivated for the left, it was all put on, and you couldn't post anything about it. You couldn't say anything about it. It was all covered. Nobody wanted to hear the real story about what happened. And you got the guys that are on the ground that have nothing to gain. They have everything to lose by telling this story and by telling the truth. They have nothing to gain from it. They're also up against some of the government's biggest, most deadly, lethal agencies out there, being the CIA. Because obviously
CIA
we're working for them. So you're talking about normal guys like me, you, and every other brother and sister in arm out there that were just fighting to save their fellow Americans and fellow diplomats. And they lost some of them. They wanted to just tell the truth about what happened there. And you got to see how they were maligned. Well, I wasn't going to let that happen. And me getting that music video out there, it was a huge, huge risk. It really was. It was a huge risk. But having said that, I also knew who my demographic was. And my demographic, when I say my demographic, and folks may look at this on strictly a business side of things, but when I met David Corlew, Charlie Daniels' manager, I sat down with him, and I had been trying to go mainstream, and Crank It was kind of a mainstream. It came out around Hicktown, Jason Aldean's Hicktown, around that kind of music. It was kind of that mainstream type of music when that was out, and I love that type of music. I love performing that type of music, and I was trying to go as a mainstream artist. And one of the things that I was not doing, I was telling Aaron's story when I got on stage, but that was not something that I was making as the first point when people got to know me as an artist. That was not the thing that I wanted people to know first, because Nashville looks at me as a military guy before they look at me as an artist. And that really makes it, that was the Volunteer Jam. Wow, that's a heck of an image there. But that was the Volunteer Jam after I got to sing. Wow. Anyway, but I wanted to make it as a mainstream artist and a top 40 artist. I wanted to do it that route, but Nashville was not going to let that happen, because a lot of folks don't realize that Nashville is owned. The record labels are owned by Los Angeles and New York. So the record labels are the music, the musicians, the artists, if they're going to be outspoken, if they're going to say, their labels are owned by mainstream record labels that are left leaning. And so I was taking a huge chance in that regard of being able to make it as a top 40 artist. But David Corley said, Ryan, the one thing about country music fans, and it's something that you really need to understand about this business, is country music fans can see clean through the contrived message, the fake message. They can see through that when it comes to real, long-lasting country music fans. The folks that are fans of the Hank Williams Jr.'s and the Charlie Daniels of the world that are out there, those fans have been their fans because they went against the grain and they were true to who they were as people. You're hiding your message and you're hiding your story from all of those people that really need to hear your story. They really need to know who you are as an artist. So I started telling my story and I started talking about my background. And now all of my music is not necessarily patriotic focused, because I have so many different, I love 80s rock. I grew up listening to 80s rock. So infusing that 80s rock in my music, that's really what I want to do. And you hear that in Burn. There's a lot of 80s rock, the solo in there. They were starting to get rid of solos in country music because the songs were too long. And they're saying the songs could be no more than 3 minutes on the radio. And so you had to cut out your solos in your songs and get these loud soaring guitar solos. I wanted to infuse that in the kind of music that I was doing. And it fit really, really well in the crowds that I was playing for. So I realized that my demographic, the demographic that I really needed to start focusing on, was the demographic that was my root. Go back to my roots, where everything got started in country music and why I got started in country music and why I actually got started in country music and not other genres, because the storytelling was there and because the genuine lyric was there, and being able to tell those stories through my music and also be able to tell the stories of of Aaron and Randy when I got on stage. I wanted to make sure that when people saw my shows, that they felt like they could be standing on stage with me, because I'm just another dude who's living a dream, who is doing it in honor of the people who have sacrificed so I could be standing on that stage. And I started doing that. And that's really when things started taking off. And it was the complete antithesis to everything that I was thinking was the right thing to do in going mainstream and top 40. Well, I get messages all the time on social media now, and they're trolls. They don't understand what the music business is about. They don't understand what military service is about. And they say that I'm a failed country music artist because I haven't gotten to the top 40 yet, that I haven't been on the radio yet, that I haven't done that. Well, I think about my memories of replacing Steven Tyler from Aerosmith as the headliner at the World Finals in Las Vegas, being a guy that nobody knew, nobody had ever heard a song from, that was in maybe a few people, nobody knew who I was, and I was doing it right. And in my very first show in 2018 was Madison Square Garden. And I like to tell people, you can call me a failed artist, but I did it my way, the way that I wanted to. I've been able to make a living doing it. I've been able to tell Aaron and Randy stories the way that I want to. I've been able to honor our law enforcement, first responders, and military. And I've done it at the biggest levels without having a top 40 song. I performed in AT&T Stadium with 46,000 people there. And I got to have everyone turn on their cell phones in honor of our law enforcement, first responders, and military. And I have not had for 1 second to compromise who I am as a person, who I am as a military service member, and who I am as a member of a 2-time Gold Star family. And I'm not going to change that.
Listen, we were talking about this when you were offline, and is myopic viewpoints and people who are too narrow and short-sighted to see the big picture. With all respect, I don't think your goal is to be a top 40 country music star. Just like my goal is not to join the Daily Wire or get picked up by Fox. It's not my goal. It's not my goal. My goal is to help people understand that knee-jerk reactions in the fog of war is the worst thing you can possibly do. And, it brings us to the conversation last night. Leroy and I are breaking down the the Reaper that was supposedly hit by the Su-27s and starting to look at the practicality of this happening versus sheer weight and airspeed and aeronautics, and could it happen, and can they actually hit a an 18-inch propeller and not bring down the rest of a craft when it's 36,000 pounds, and the way it was thrusting and moving and all this other stuff. And although we have video footage now, we also don't have the 19 passes, and we didn't see the thing actually fall. So I could make a prediction and say, okay, Russia shot it down. That doesn't mean it's true. And I could also say, well, it landed safely, or it's in the Bermuda Triangle, but that doesn't make it true. And it seems that people, when they don't have the answers, want to go ahead and fill it in with whatever they can, because not knowing is worse than believing a lie. And,
Right.
the reason I'm setting this up is because I guess it's the next question leading into this. And I know Olivia has one from a guest. So before you answer that, I'd like you to answer this, or I'd like you to answer the guest first and then answer mine. When you say they're trying to keep me down, or they're not allowing me to kind of get into the inner circle because of my political views, what's it going to take to get through that as an artist? Because I know it may not be your ultimate goal, but I know you want to increase your audience. I know that Instagram throttles you. I know that you're seeing it constantly. I see it constantly on your page where, one day you'll be up by 5,000 and then all of a sudden you drop down again, and it doesn't make any sense. So the long question, how do you get through that? And then Olivia has one from a guest. So what did the guest say?
I actually have 3.
Okay. Well, then just forget mine. Go ahead.
Okay. So Amy Bordeaux says she wants to know your opinion of, I have to listen to the commander-in-chief versus do what's right.
Well, I've been there through, like, I served through underneath 4 presidents, and it's a really tough position to put a soldier in when it comes to following your chain of command's orders and losing everything that you've got. But there are a lot of folks that got booted from the military based off of an unproven, no statistics, no information, no data, no nothing vaccine that they were forced to take to keep their jobs. I was getting messages on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I'll tell you one of the messages that I got that absolutely broke my heart. There's a female that messaged me, a woman messaged me, and she said that I've got 18 and a half years in. I'm up for promotion right now. I'm pregnant, and I've been told that I have to get this vaccine or they're kicking me out. I've got 9 combat deployments. I've survived them all. I've been, and now I've got a baby on the way. I don't know if it was her first child or not, but I've got a child on the way, and they're about to take my entire military retirement away from me because I've chosen to protect my child against something that I don't have any information on. I can't make an educated decision based off of the information that I have as to whether this is the healthy and right thing to do for my child. Now, don't get me wrong. There are other real vaccinations out there that some people can say have been effective in keeping viruses and different things from getting back to into our population. And kids have been getting it, and we've been getting them for our entire lifetimes. Having said that, some people disagree with all vaccinations, whatever it may be. But the bottom line is this: she didn't have an opportunity, and I don't know whether she got kicked out. I haven't heard from her since. She didn't have an opportunity to make an educated decision for herself as a career combat veteran underneath this commander-in-chief as to whether she was going to stay in the military and get this vaccination, potentially harm her baby and herself, or lose everything that she had served for and worked for the last 18 and a half years of her career. And that, for me, it's really tough to say. The bottom line is we all served, and we know what it's like to be in a chain of command. You're supposed to follow the orders unless you feel that obviously the order goes against the law of war or whatever it may be, or the Constitution, those kind of things. But having even said that, we all know you can say that I don't agree with this order because I don't feel it's a lawful order. That doesn't matter. Your shit is done. You're done.
Your career's over. You're done.
Your career's over. If you want anything, we know how it works in the military, and that's the truth that nobody wants to hear. It's like, oh, soldiers should just, they should just say, no, I'm not going to do what the president says. Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
Yeah,
who
good
is?
luck.
No one's going to say that.
20 years
Now,
in Leavenworth.
say, I'm willing to sacrifice my career. I'm willing to sacrifice everything that I served for in the military because of I do not want to risk it. And there are a lot of people that did. There are a lot of people that did, and the unfortunate thing is, I would love for them to be able to have some kind of legal recourse to where they, oh, hey, we're going to hire you back and give you back pay. That's what Trump is saying he's going to do whenever, whenever he
Right.
becomes
So
president.
I hope so.
That's great. But what about the last 2 years where they've been in this shitstorm underneath the chain of command that has not taken care of them, and has 100% gone against every oath that they took over the number of years to get to the rank that they're at. They've gone against every oath that they've taken, and their soldiers have suffered for it. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I was posting all the legal stuff that was, the possible legal things that they could get for religious exemptions and all those, all the possibilities for them not to have to get the vaccine. I was just trying to use my platform to support those folks who felt they had no other choice, and that they were going to lose everything. And so many of them did. So many of them did. And the worst part about it all is we're not hearing from a single military leader out there about that they were wrong. You're not, and they're not. There's not a single military leader out there.
No, because
that is active
the
right
just-
now. Military.
Because
Sorry,
the
go ahead.
justification has been that, well, if you got the flu shot and you didn't say anything about that, you got all of those shots from boot camp and you were fine there. And so the justification is, this is just another shot, and we want you to you have to take this.
Right.
Now the difference between and I would say the difference, and in my response to that, and sorry to interrupt you, but my response to that is their information access nowadays, as opposed to what it was back then, is so significantly in your face. We're in the microwave generation. We're used to we can cook our meals now and reheat our food in 2 minutes. It doesn't have to go in the oven and wait for it to come out. We've got direct access to information to be more educated about what we're doing. And the vast majority of the immunizations and vaccinations that were given in the military in the past had a proven success rate against those viruses. They had a history. So even if you wanted to go do your research, you had to go to encyclopedias and you had to go do all those kind of things. So can you call it
clinical trials?
That's pretty, and a lot of our military, obviously, and I'm one of them. I mean, I got the anthrax vaccination going to Iraq and whatnot. I mean, a lot of those were, you made those decisions on an ignorant basis. Well, our soldiers and our service members now are much more informed than they used to be. And had this information been readily available back when those immunizations and vaccinations were being done, would they have made the same decision that they made back then if they had the information to make an educated decision? So anybody can go ahead and say, oh, well, whatever. But the bottom line is this, folks. We're seeing so much that's happening to young people off of this. Now that the information is coming, I guarantee you that if this data were out there about any other immunization that they were giving military service members in the past, that immunization would not have been given to our military service members. This was it was a complete failure of leadership when it came to taking care of our soldiers to be able to choose whether they could get it or not. I mean, it really, and then when we found out, I'm gonna go way off here, but then when they found out that the shit didn't even stop it from spreading, which was clear anyway, why did they continue doing it? If that was the only reason why they said they had to get it.
Well, because financially, when you've already told a lie,
we know,
and you've already pushed, and you've already went ahead and 62% of the freaking population is inoculated, supposedly, which isn't true. No. That you've put all money on black. If you're going to go ahead, and this is the problem with the fucking government, is that they never admit they're wrong, because once you do that, you won't be trusted again. Well, now there's been so many times that we know that they're wrong. We don't trust them anyhow. I mean, look at Senate, Congress, media. It doesn't matter who it is. President of the United States, they're all sub 23, 24% in the favorability rating because they're fucking assholes. Now, hold on a second real quick. I was asked during my nerd days on my other podcast when I was a little younger, and it was about Star Trek. And someone says, do you think that phased transportation through the transporter room will ever happen. And we never thought we would have manned space flight. We never thought the DMV would take less than 7 hours. And now look at it. It's 3 hours. All these progresses in life, the phone, whatever. Do you think we'll be able to beam me up, Scotty, sometime? And I said, no, because the complexity of the molecular structure of the body and DNA, to put that in one stasis of order, disassemble that into, trillions and trillions and trillions of different patterns, and then put them back together, that process, it's unfathomable for computing. Now, if that's true, and we just literally just say we mess up one iota, 0.000000006% of putting people back together, someone's going to have a fucking elbow growing out of their forehead when they come through the transporter room, or they're going to be a bulbous mass of liquid. Okay, there's a point to this. When you start fucking around with the DNA of a human being, even if it is 0.000000007% of their overall DNA patterns, you're going to create abnormalities in the body, things that are inconsistent with the normal, basic, run-of-the-mill DNA patterns, which make us human and put us together and have us function somewhat properly. Some of us may have heart disease. Some of us may have a possibility of having cancer or whatever it is. But what we're talking about is altering the DNA of a human being, which we have no fucking clue what the long-term effects of those are. Right there, that doesn't put this in the same category as polio, which had a 50% failure rate and killed more people than it saved in the first year. This isn't typhoid. This isn't anthrax. This isn't the measles. This isn't chickenpox. This is altering the DNA of a human being. And we wielded science with no penance and effort of cost. We found it. They said, oh, well, let's just go ahead and do it. And there was absolutely no payment to earn that science. We didn't wait. Most of these trials take 3 to 5 years. We rushed it. We pushed it through. Donald Trump's responsible for that too. We understand that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrifying, because this happens to be a class action lawsuit against the world that financially can't be. But I'm telling you, the trust and the erosion that the human beings on this planet have towards their government is so insurmountable. I don't know if we can ever get back. This is a statement, not a question, but you just pissed me off just enough to go off for a minute. But that's my whole look at this thing.
I want to throw one quick comment in there, because I'm one of them. I'm one of the guys who was forced to get the jab twice. And so, the first time you're running on a treadmill after the fact and your heart starts lighting off and you're like, fuck, is that like, am I having a reaction? Like, I don't know. And the fact of the matter is, between Biden, Fauci, and the White House secretary, we've all been told two distinct lies. One, that you can't get it after you've been inoculated. And two, you can't spread it. Neither one of which turned out to be true. And so what was the point of the thing? That was my only comment.
Yeah. And I'm not here to bash Trump. I want to clear this up. But if you're going to sit here and tell me that Trump has not pushed the vaccine, he just did it last week. So enough, okay? Trump can make mistakes. He's not God. And I think Graham Allen says it the best. He's like, he's a man. He's fallible. And if you want to look at Trump as the second coming of Christ, you're making a mistake. He is a man, and he can make mistakes. He did a lot more good than harm, but it doesn't matter. The point is, this isn't about Trump. Stop making it about him. It's about a vaccine that did not do what it promised. It's about masks and lockdowns and keeping our kids and putting them behind from an educational perspective. This is about bankrupting small businesses and having economic recovery that's not going to happen for 3 decades in some cases. We're leading to a Great Depression. I mean, we've got to stop looking at, well, I hurt Donald Trump's feelings or I hurt Joe Biden's feelings. Who fucking cares? You don't know these people. Care about your neighbor. Care about Ryan or Leroy or Amy or my wife. But Donald Trump or Joe Biden, honestly, you're never going to know him. You're never going to meet him. So let's worry about each other before we start worrying about fucking politicians. That's my opinion. Sorry.
Right on.
Yep.
Amy, you got a second one for me?
Yeah. What else we got, Olivia?
Well, so Marie Reed said, Ryan, you speak of 1969, but you don't look old enough.
Yeah, how old are you, dude?
I just turned 50 on Valentine's Day. So
man, you look
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I'm not old enough to remember 1969, but I am old enough to appreciate the vehicles from back then.
Well, you can have a couple 69s and we'll owe you a few.
I would have honestly said like late 30s, honestly.
Thank you.
Oh, dude, you're
Yeah.
such a suck up. Do we have an ass kissing soundboard piece?
You know what's biting me?
I'm looking.
That's a valued
No,
proposition. I'm down.
we can like go past that one like 100 miles an hour and get to the third question. I'll be fine with that.
Ryan, I was going to say you're not a day past 26. Amy, you too. Okay,
Thanks.
next question. What's the next one?
All right. Keith Shindizzy said, "Hey, bro, when me drinking at Frenchie's again?"
It's not
Looks like you got one of your
We're good.
Fellow
Just go.
Warnock,
One-
gotta love it. Gotta love it, man.
one of
I
your
hope-
buddies out
hopefully
here.
As soon as we can. Hopefully as soon as we can, brother.
Okay,
great.
so I want to bring up something that just took place, and this is personal to me, and it also has to do with music. My wife and I are huge Def Leppard fans, massive. I've seen them almost as many
So is
times
my
as
wife.
I've seen Jethro Tull. Right, I love Leppard.
Go away.
And what happened was Rick Allen was just attacked. And he's the drummer. Now I want people to understand Rick Allen, what this guy's gone through. This guy lost his arm in a Corvette accident. He was drinking, but he rolled his Corvette, fell on his arm. You want me to mute you, Amy? Amy, do you need a minute? Are you okay?
I was complaining about my lighting earlier, and then
then-
Jason came over to fix it, and then just was effing with me, and now it's
Do you want to
messing
yell
all
at him?
up.
You should yell at him. We
Yeah,
can
I
mute
just
you
almost
so you
like
can
get
yell at him.
out of my office. Like you're just messing with me now. Like
All right. Well, anyway, Rick Allen, who lost his arm, was one of the first, now not the first one-armed drummer, but probably one of the most prolific one-armed drummers in the business. I mean, the guy's incredible. And he was just attacked by a 19-year-old kid. Olivia, can you give me some more details on what happened to him? And just share me the link. But here's the thing, is we're seeing an increase in the rhetoric about guns and banning guns. And of course, Joe Biden just came out with this and said, we need to go ahead and ban more guns. We need to go ahead and put limitations. We need to expand the alphabet agency companies to knock on the doors of everyday gun owners and impose red flag laws and have neighbors rat on each other so we can go ahead and take their firearms. But this is a case of we're seeing more and more violence randomly happen. And if there's one thing that the three of us know serving overseas is you don't necessarily need a high capacity magazine in the state of the art $3,000 AR-15 and, have a high yield weapon in order to do damage to people. And I think there's something that veterans have to do is, if you're not going to listen to the veterans who've been overseas and seen what a disarmed country looks like, if you're not going to listen to see the terroristic side of humanity and the evil that's truly out there, these things are going to continue to happen. Ryan, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, where do you think this country's going? Because I believe, people always ask me, is there going to be a civil war? And I don't necessarily believe that, but I do believe that the culture war will turn into a violent situation. And we're on the precipice of that. That's at least what I think. And I'd love to get your thoughts and everybody else's.
I think that we have a problem with ignorance in this country. I think that ignorance and laziness, straight up, that's really what it boils down to, because folks are just so willing to listen to what people. I ask this question every single time when somebody gets on. I comment on Don Jr.'s page all the time, just because I like. First, there are a lot of times I just like poking the bear, or the teddy bear, I guess you would call it, because it's not like a real bear. But posting comments that I know that are going to elicit a response intentionally. Because they're
no, you don't do that at all.
Wait, what?
There are folks that are on that page that are like-minded, and that's my demographic of folks that I want on my page that have the same kind of they feel the same, and they're also the same people that are going to listen to my music and that kind of stuff. So it's intentional. But having said that, I ask this question to every Biden supporter that's out there. I say there are three questions that I ask. I say, one, in the 50 years that Biden's been a politician, what has he done to make your life personally better?
Yep.
And in the 4 years that Trump was president, what did he do to make your life personally worse? And the third question is your life better off than it was under the Trump presidency right now? And if anyone can honestly answer those questions, it's going to show just how ignorant they were to support what's going on right now. And the problem is when you say, where's our country going to? There you go. That was a good one.
These are Ryan's samples
way,
on Instagram. This is why I follow him. This is how I actually found I like the guy, because I was following his page. And I love some of his memes. And then like I put one up and he shared one of mine and it grew and I shared one of his and you know, here we are. But I love reading these, man. They're fantastic.
I do
Go ahead,
the
Ryan.
red, white, and blue, and a lot of folks say, "Oh man, that looks like that looks three dimensional." It's because they
Yeah.
use those three colors in the 3D stuff. It's what really it. But I I enjoy doing it. I mean, that's kind of it. It makes it stand out as my own little message thing. But as far as our country is concerned, they're talking about they're talking about Civil War. Folks are talking about Civil War. There's one thing I posted, and I have to be honest with you. I don't know, looking back at it, if 100% of what I posted that I felt was truthful, because of what we have seen in the last 2 years when it comes to Antifa and BLM and how well the rest of America's media jumped on board to support and has completely swept Antifa under the rug. They are very, very organized, and
Even though they say they're not. Yeah.
they're extremely well organized, and they are also very well trained.
correct.
They are very well trained on their specific roles. They're disciplined when they go to do what they're going to, when they're going to attack a police camp or encampment or whatever that's being built. They're very, very well organized. They're very well informed, and they're keeping it they're communicating with each other in a way that is extremely effective, where we're not hearing about, oh, this is a possibility of this happening. It happens. And then anytime that you get something that's not even close to that, when the conservative side, say, for instance, January 6th happens, and we know, because they were arrested, some Antifa insertions into that. The government was involved in that. Media covered it all up. Folks are out there saying, "Oh, we're going to get a bunch of purple, pink hat, pink vagina hat wearing folks that are going to be out there fighting against us, or we're going to get these purple hair folks and all that kind of stuff." And that's who we are fighting against. That is who we're fighting against. We're fighting against uniformed, paid for, organized. They are a militia, and they talk about us, the government taking our gun rights because a well-formed militia, oh, that doesn't make sense anymore by the Constitution. Well, they're proving it. They're proving it on the opposite side. They're proving why our Constitution is invaluable on the opposite side, on the anarchy side. And folks don't realize is that you got to be prepared out there. You can't just sit back and be passive when it comes to your preparation as to what we're going to have to deal with. Because if anyone thinks that Trump is going to get back in the White House and this is not going to escalate even worse than it was when the summer of love was happening, they're absolutely wrong.
Yeah, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be.
And the thing is, they're not only. I mean, we got to start. We really started seeing it at the end of the Trump presidency, where they were doxing folks like me. They were doxing us and folks like y'all, and going to your houses. And going after you, and not just going after you with one or two people. They're going after with crowds that aren't wearing the pink vagina hats, that are just out there screaming that Trump is going to take away all feminine rights, when we have seen that completely happen in the last 2 years. Everything that feminists have fought for being taken away.
I'm done. I'm going to leave.
Just
going to let him do the show. I love it. I love it. It's so true. I mean, I said it last night, man. I said the last two months. Yes, 2 years, but last 2 months has rolled us back. We spent almost 65 years getting out of the men's club, which the first and second wave of feminism, I'm completely for. Of course it is. It's about women's rights, burning the bra, equal pay, all that shit. Yes. But the third and fourth wave was simply hating men. And now this fifth wave is saying, and I said this last night, here's the quote, and you can meme this up if you want to. Maybe you've heard it, is, in my opinion, and certainly don't want to offend people. Yes, I do. I want to offend you. Is what you're saying with this new that men are women is men even better at being women than women.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's completely just destroyed the feminist movement. Go ahead, Leroy. Amy, go ahead.
Before we transition too far along, something that Ryan said that I really wanted to double tap on, pun intended, was his point on ignorance. And when I'm talking about the ignorance, I'm talking about the lack of the understanding of what history has brought us. In 1970, I'm just going to run through this. It'll take less than 15 seconds. In 1970,
that's what she said.
between the years of 1971 to 1979, that was the years that they banned their guns. The government killed 300,000 people. In 1956, Cambodia did the same thing. From 1975 to 1977, they killed 1 million people. Germany did the same thing, 13 million people. China did the same thing, 20 million people. And I'm not talking about that. These people weren't killed by other people. The government did this. So that's why the Second Amendment exists, to prevent this kind of crap from happening.
And if I may add to that real
Yeah,
quick.
please.
So we are overtly seeing the left attack anyone that disagrees with them with full government support on censorship and all the media that are supporting them and wiping that under the, sweeping it under the carpet. You're seeing full support of our government. And now we have celebrities that are out there, and they said it when it came to the vaccination. They're saying it when it comes to pro-life beliefs, all those. You're seeing the left overtly say, kill the people who disagree with you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they're attacking people who disagree with them. And anyone who stands up for truth is being demonized, censored, and completely wiped out. Canceled, as you call. You're seeing that. Yeah. And if anyone can't look at that situation and understand that it is 100% possible that they can absolutely do this to us, yes, it means something to stay out here and be loud. It means something to not, when I get attacked every single day. I get, jammed on. I love it. It's fun. Half the time I'm sitting on a toilet, messaging somebody, telling them that their opinion is going down the drain right now. That's a joke I always make. It's rude.
No, I get it. I think everyone gets it.
But yeah,
where's the sound effect, Olivia?
Come on, Liv, get a fart one.
But the whole ignorant thing is there. But the thing is, this is what we really need to, my point was, all the facts that you just put out there, Leroy, that's all stuff that people, a lot of folks know some of that stuff. A lot of folks know some of that stuff. What I see on a day-to-day basis. Oh, can I make a face for that?
Yeah, you can make a face. She's got that butt. She's on the button.
Do it again.
Liv. There you go. That's right.
There we go. All right.
It's a little weak for a man.
That's the best thing I've ever done on a podcast. I got to be honest with you. No, I could go on for days about it, but the bottom line is this: the best way for us to be able to combat the senselessness and to be able to combat other folks' ignorance and the lies is to do our research and be educated on it. The laziness that I'm talking about is are the people that are out there that don't know how to have a discussion that is a logical discussion with an emotional individual who has no fucking clue what they're talking about. That just makes up stuff that comes at you and says, well, this, and this. Well, that's a feeling-based argument, and I understand how you feel. Many other people have felt that way. Have you ever had the feel, felt, found sales technique on an idea?
Yeah, of course. Yes, of course.
But what they found was you can't have that discussion. But you can, if you present the facts over and over and over again to them, there is no argument. And the thing is, the number of people that are looking at it, the number of people that are watching what you're saying.
You can't have a logical discussion. An emotional argument only works on an emotional person, and logical arguments only work on logical people.
Right. No, because
that's
first
not
one, yes,
necessarily true. I would say,
yeah, it isn't necessarily true because you know what? I'm going to shut up. Amy, you've raised your hand a couple of times, so Amy, you go. Nobody needs to hear what the hell I'm going to say about logic. Go ahead, Amy.
No, I was going to just agree with you guys and just say, well, I'm emotional, highly emotional. I feel like I'm fairly logical. I'm also a woman. I was born this way, 100% through and through. I've had 2 kids, and I dare any man to try to bear a child. But I think a lot of it is not just, I know, right? I've grown to the point where I'm just completely frustrated, and I'm tired of trying to tiptoe around people's feelings on what they want me to believe that, I love those those things for your dogs. Like, right?
Yep.
Right. But this one's teach your dog all the liberal responses, only $19.99, January 6th. But Trump you're racist and you're phobic.
Right.
Yep.
It's so true. It's just I'm just really quickly shoot, what was I gonna say? Oh, just I'm tired of the erasure of women. We did fight hard. I mean, I'm not old enough to be one of those original feminists, but my sisters back when my great grandparents and whatnot, that we fought so hard for our rights, and now we can't even have a bathroom. We can't even have a baby without being attacked. We can't have anything without, and it's not to discount men. It's just that we're different, and men are exceptional at so many things, and women are exceptional at so many things.
Like
And I
cooking. Like cooking. You're
Right.
great at cooking. I
Some of
love
us.
how
Would you like your
Some
pot
of
pie
us.
now or after the show?
I'll take a beer and then I'll take my pot pie. Thanks. Go ahead, Ames. Ryan, we can get away with shit on like this show. This is not a politically correct show. You can completely be a sexist on this show and actually it gets higher ratings. So go ahead,
Right.
Ames.
That's it though. No, that's really it. I'm just so mad at my lighting right now, but no, that's truly it.
You need to take it out on your husband.
I don't know what he was.
It's Jason. It's just what it is. So, okay. So I just want to do one more subject. And I guess this is not going into the heart of politics, and it's trying to stay more on the human side. I saw this meme today, and I'll be honest with you. I love it. I remember sitting with my friend Steve Sparks, who was black, still is black, actually, last time I checked. Olivia, call Steve, find out if he's black still. So Steve
Would identify as somebody else.
He could be a transgender Jewish priest.
Avocado.
Right. I don't know what he is, but
I'm not going to say anything.
don't say a word.
But
No, don't say a word. So Steve, good friend of mine, and I grew up in a house where the N-word was used all the time because my grandparents were racist. There's no doubt in my mind. My father said it. It was just a horrible experience because they didn't understand their own ignorance. And that's a generational thing. Okay. And I don't hold that against anybody. People can grow, but we watched Blazing Saddles together. My mom was at work at Beat Alton Bookseller probably till about 7 o'clock at night. And Steve and I are sitting there, we're fucking laughing, watching Blazing Saddles, and the sheriff's a burn. And we're cracking up, right? And someone needs to go back to town and get a shitload of dimes. And every time they drop the N-bomb, we're cracking up. My dad's watching it there, and everyone's laughing. My mom walks in, and she had a fucking conniption fit. Her skin split, right? You can't show that because, and he goes, why? Because I'm an N-word? And you could hear the proverbial pin drop.
Wow.
And then he goes, I'm just kidding. And like, my mom didn't laugh. My mom probably popped 2 Percocet and called it a night, but everyone else laughed. And here's the point of this meme is, remember when you could offend everyone, when all just laughed at ourselves. And everyone goes, Blazing Saddles, one of the most racist movies in the world. It goes after Jews. It goes after the Chinese. It goes after the Irish. It goes after the Catholic and the Vatican. It goes after everybody. Mel Brooks makes fun of Jewish people in there. It goes after politicians. Nobody was sacred. It even went after homosexuals with the whole gay,
Oh, yeah.
go
Tom
get them,
DeLuise.
girls. When are we
I gotta
going
send a
to
shout out
get
to my boy
back?
Chance.
All right, hold on.
Send a shout out to my boy Chance Shewell, one of my best friends on the planet. Just an amazing person. I talked to you about the Warrior Shield Foundation. He is actually
Yeah.
president of the Warrior Shield Foundation. So sorry about that. I interrupted.
No.
Yeah, I
Don't you
agree.
dare be sorry. I just want to know, is there a chance? I mean, this is what it is. It's reflection. Are we ever going to get back to this? Are we ever going to get back to where we can just laugh at each other? Because people on both sides seem to enjoy when, Dave Chappelle comes up and comes with a comedy special. The numbers say that. It's not just Republicans who are watching. Is it ever going to get back? I want to get your opinions on this. And then if you want to call out, because you did it on my show, if you want to call out that foundation, I'm totally down for that too. It doesn't matter in which order we do it. Go ahead.
I think if we can get rid of, I think if there's a media blackout and social media craps itself, we're going to have the ability to have a normal conversation. I always love going into the restaurants where they say we don't have Wi-Fi, talk to each other like you used to, and actually
Like
have
it's
a conversation
1995.
with another human being. Yeah, back to 1995. I love those kind of restaurants, and the decompression times that I get when I don't have cell phone signal and we're just all out there, not I mean, there obviously it's a double-edged sword that we do have access to information on a, right in front of us, and it's a great thing. But it also can be detrimental because sometimes you just got to be able to take a break from it and get rid of it. But yeah, so I mean, the Warrior Shield Foundation. Did you want me to jump to that?
Yeah, yeah. I want you to talk about it. Of course I do. Absolutely.
So all the folks that are watching here, Warrior Shield Foundation, I've been involved with that organization for quite some time. They're essentially the Angie's List for nonprofit organizations, but they support other nonprofit organizations through events. And we are going to be supporting the Folds of Honor and their suicide prevention side of it in September. That's going to be the September 8th, 9th, and 10th weekend. If any of y'all want to get involved in that, I know that they're looking for sponsors. I'm going to be performing a concert down there. We've got a couple other acts that are going to be coming in. I'm not the headliner. That's the Warrior Shield Foundation logo right there. You'll see a lot of the stuff that I post about the Warrior Shield Foundation. These are a great all-volunteer nonprofit organization that Chance Showell, he's a former federal air marshal, one of the most amazing human beings on the planet. He's as good as it gets. He's an incredible human being outside of being one of my best friends. But they need your support to be able to support our heroes, because we all know that 95% of all funds that go to our hero communities, that would be military, law enforcement, first responder communities, comes from those communities. So if anyone out there wants to support that event in September, we've got that one going on, and there's the link in there from the Don't Unfriend Me show. Thank you so much. That's a September event, and we got a few other things that are going on earlier than that maybe we could get back on a different podcast. But the Great American Syndicate and the Great American Summit that's going on in Texas as well, also supporting our heroes. But having said that, warriorshield.org, incredible organization, very small organization, but doing things on the national level for other nonprofit organizations out there. Reach out to them, sponsor, support, come and watch me throw it down in September. We'd love to have you.
Where was it? I'm sorry, I missed it. Where is this event though?
It's going to be in Orlando, but if you go to the warriorshield.org page, they have their events tab that you can click on their events tab, and it's called the Warrior Weekend 2023, excuse me. There's so many different cool things that they've got going on, between your typical nonprofit gala that everybody does to do live auction fundraising, but they've got a motorcycle ride, car shows, different things like that they're planning. But the concert's going to be a pretty killer concert as well. I've performed for them for the last 2 years. Last year we had I can't remember who. Man, everything's blurring together. The year before,
it's been a long couple hours.
Yeah, but you guys go check out who's going to be involved in the concert other than myself. And, we're super excited about this year because they were able to raise a significant amount of money last year, their largest amount, for the Wheelchairs for Warriors, another incredible nonprofit organization. They vet their organizations thoroughly before they support them. Just as I do, I wouldn't put my name behind a nonprofit organization that supports our heroes unless I've, in detail, taking a look at that organization. That's what it was. Molly Hatchet. I opened for Molly Hatchet last year.
Oh,
we had
dude, I'm all over this, man. I'm all over this.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I got your back.
Don was there. Jessica Lynch was there last year. They always have incredible heroes that you can meet, folks that you know from history. If anybody didn't know Colonel Gadsden, Greg and I, man, we've done so many nonprofits together. What a freaking awesome guy. He was in Battleship, the movie Battleship. But his story.
So was my former CO. My former commanding officer was in the Pentagon scene.
One of the most prolific motivational speakers I've ever seen. But right there, I love going to events and speaking in the same lineup as him, because he always makes. Hey, let's see, Roxanne. Oh, who was it? Said Nancy. Have a great night. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Anyway, going to be an incredible event this year, and. You guys just follow along on my pages. We have a couple of really incredible Patriot events that I think you'll want to be involved in. Great American Summit that's coming up in Texas is going to be pretty killer as well, with the Great American Syndicate. Follow them as well.
Do you know how I can help? Oh, go ahead.
Do you have any plans to get to as far north as like Kentucky or anything like that?
We have Ohio's got something in the works right now. Working on Ohio. I've been asked to go to Idaho. I do. Folks that are watching, I do motivational speaking and concerts, something a lot of folks don't realize. We do a combination of both. Essentially, I'll be your keynote speaker, tell my backstory, and then we do a full-on concert with my band. And it's a concert; it's not background noise. So if anybody wants to hire a corporate band for background noise, I am not the guy for you. And I've turned down many a gig for it. But it's like we're partying with friends essentially when we do the concert, because you get to know who I am, as opposed to just an artist that's sitting up on stage. And don't get me wrong, concerts are great and whatnot, but just an artist that's on stage playing their music. We tell stories about the songs. The show is a slam. Anybody who's watched my concerts knows it's an 80s rock concert essentially. I mean, it's a slamming show. We like to have a lot of fun, but yeah, I mean, I would love to get up there to Kentucky, love to get up there to Ohio. I've done a
I'm sorry. Wait a second. I have to interrupt.
You get to Ohio.
Amy,
I want to know when and where.
Amy, kick Jeremy Mitchell ASAP, please. Thank you.
Amy.
Ban him now. Go ahead, Ryan. I apologize.
Jeremy Mitchell?
Yeah, he needs to go.
I don't even see him on here.
Yeah, but just trust me. He needs to
Yeah,
go.
he's
Amy's got it. Go ahead. Move on.
Yeah.
There's certain things you're not going to say in that way. So we're just going to move on and not draw attention to it. Last question. Go ahead,
Just
Leroy.
real quick,
Go ahead.
If and when he gets up to Ohio, I want to know when and where.
Okay. Yeah, my hopes are we've got a couple of things in the works. I did Operation Cherry Bend up in Ohio. Great nonprofit organization, supporting our heroes. They got an amazing it's hunting, fishing, or hunting focused, firearm focused, that kind of thing.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, cool. Great organization. So hopefully we'll get back up in Ohio, because I can't remember where I got asked to do a show up there, but we have I've sent them the contract. Hopefully we'll be able to get the contract.
Move on.
That'd be outstanding.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How can we help support besides just obviously share and subscribe and all that type of stuff? Anything we can do to kind of help support?
Get me out to your events. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. We have Burns at almost 700,000 streams right now. So everybody knows, Spotify streams, you get paid 0.007 cents a stream. There's no money in Spotify for artists. But having said that, we have Let's Talk About Heroes with Don Jenkins, an incredible, Medal of Honor recipient. Diana Muller's on there, sharing those videos to make them go viral in our hero community. Those kind of things increase my platform for me to be able to support other nonprofit organizations, but also, it's what I do for a living. So we want to do the best that we possibly can to expand my reach, in that can continue to use whatever influence that I have to continue to support our organizations. But yeah, I need to make a living doing this as well. So motivational speaking and concerts, those are all things that I love to do on a if I'm at home, I get antsy. So, get me out on the road and let me make a difference for your organization as well.
Can I jump in before you do that? Because
Yeah.
I should have said this in the beginning. I should say this in the beginning of every show. Yes, I'm a real estate agent, but my passion in life is connecting people together. Like, that is what I like to do. And I keep bugging Matt. I need to introduce him to someone who's local, David Keener. He owns one family. I don't know. He has an umbrella company, but there's a brewery he's building. He was
One Family
responsible.
Brewing, right? No?
Yeah. But he has an umbrella company over top of that. But that's the brewery that's going to be opening eventually. But he was responsible for
Wait a second.
sponsoring.
David Keener. Doesn't he sit with us at breakfast at Tammy's every single weekend? That's
Probably.
David. Does he have
Spiky
Parkinson's?
hair.
Does he have a? No. Okay. I'm sorry.
That's John.
Oh, that's John. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Amy.
No, but he helped sponsor to get I think it was the 42nd Gold Star Family Memorial it's built in my town where I live. It's absolutely stunningly gorgeous. It's one of the most beautiful monuments. We drive by it literally every single day on the way home. But he hosts an event every year called the Freedom Festival, and it's grown every year. Now it's a 2-day festival. It used to be like a couple hours. So now it's like this huge event. Hundreds and hundreds of people come. I think that I need to connect Matt. I've been saying this for a year now, and then Ryan, I think you'd be a natural fit. Like, he brews beer, but he is so much bigger than that. He is just one of those people that you're like, wow, he's doing so much, and I'm just a loser over here doing nothing. Like he's just one of those amazing people, and he's all about giving back. And obviously, through him and through the organization that he works with, I've been able to meet other Gold Star families, and I don't even know how to just say it. Like
Just
I've
a
been
good
so
dude.
inspired. Yeah, he's an amazing person, and gosh, it's breaking. It'll break your hearts, and the tributes that they do to these families, and the soldiers who've lost their lives, and it's really it's an amazing event, and I think it'd be really cool. Make it like a dummies, like we're gonna have a party.
Yeah, do something. I mean, we've talked
Yeah,
about
that'd
it,
be
right?
awesome.
We've talked about bringing people together.
Yeah,
I think it's a
love it.
great idea, and I'd love to meet him. And Ryan, I want to make sure you understand. Last
Yeah.
week, Ben Shapiro came on live, and he's got 1.5 million followers. He had 413 people on Facebook. We're being throttled. We don't get the real number, but I'll tell you this: when you're done with this, you're going to
Jason,
see 12 to
family.
15,000 thumbs up and reactions. This thing by the end of next week, 75,000 people will watch this. It's incredible, but you don't see the numbers on live. Facebook is horrible at this, and they're my number one channel. So that's why Twitter, I'm growing my Twitter feed and everything else. But a lot of people will see this. And second is I'll make sure I can introduce you to connections. I've been in the corporate world for 30 years that I just started really doing something like this. And this is more of, kind of a secondary type thing for me, and whatever I get from it is great. But definitely that's what it's all about. It's about connections. We're going to put a button on this. We've got a lot of editing to do with the show. We're going to start that tomorrow. I will have the first episode up. We will be live tomorrow again. We went live quite a few times. Ryan, before we go, I just wanted to say myself, I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate your candor, your vulnerability. You're an affable dude, and that's probably the biggest compliment I can give you. I do want to cut our teeth into politics. I would love for you to come on when we have news prepared and get your perspective on things. But I really appreciate you, man. I feel like you're a buddy, and that's important because we have that common thread and sinew from service. But when you share stories with people, it really makes a difference. So that's my 1 minute. I'm going to hand it off to Amy, give her minute. Leroy gets his. Everyone gets a minute at the end of the show, and then obviously yours. I want you to make sure you talk about what's important to you. So Amy, go ahead. It's your minute. It's all yours.
Yeah, just again, Ryan, first of all, obviously, thank you so much for your sacrifices and your family sacrifices to our country and your service. I will be completely honest, I was not really aware of you until a few weeks ago when Matt mentioned, and I will say we listened to about 4 of your songs today on between the car ride to school and back home from school with my kiddos. They love your hero. I forget the name of the title, but the Heroes song, like that's like a huge favorite amongst my kiddos and myself. We love that song. So it's just an honor to have you on. I've been following you and watching some of your what are they called? Not TED Talks. What are they called? Like the
Motivational speeches, corporate events.
The motivational talks, and the ones that I've seen on YouTube. Like I said, the one I watched today, I cried twice. I think you are truly an inspiration. You are. I'm just. This has been such a great experience for me. I'm like totally a fangirl now. So, and my kids are too. Everyone's a fan. So thank you for this. Thank you for being on.
And we got a couple guys fighting over you in the chat. Lee he's like, he's mine, bitch, stay away. And people are they're trying to be funny. Leroy, you got your minute. Thanks, Amy. That was nice. Go ahead, Leroy.
Well, I'll be a fangirl too. And
you can be in this day and age.
You absolutely can now.
That's right.
First of all, let me say it's been an absolute pleasure to listen to your stories, your perspectives. You're an amazing person. I've seen a couple of your music videos. Amazing. You have an amazing voice and great stage presence. So please keep up that awesome work. I would love to be able to sit in on a motivational speech someday. I think that would be fantastic. And like I said, if you ever get up to Ohio, I'll be there. No doubt about that. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you. And that's all I have.
Do you have anything?
I appreciate it.
Did you have a question or anything? Because you've been okay. Leroy, thanks so much. Listen, you come to Virginia, DC, Maryland, Pennsylvania. I don't care. Anywhere within 300 miles, you need to let me know because I'll be there too. I want to see it. I will extend the offer. Again, anytime you want to come on, you need a platform, you need a voice. You want to go ahead and pitch something, let me know. And obviously, if you're going to be doing something in these type of conventions with veterans, I whatever you need, man. Any way I can support, my channel can help. You just let me know. I'll give you the last minute, Ryan. You get last word. Guests always do. and then we'll button it up and go out with, like we always do, with the Veteran Crisis Hotline and talking about the website. So go ahead, Ryan.
Awesome. Well, I got to pimp out a couple folks first. Patch Operations, veteran-owned company, folks. They have patches, decals, and merchandise. You guys check out Patch Operations, an incredible nonprofit organization that they work with called Sub-Zero Mission, working on getting our veterans off the streets. You got Grit Gear Apparel. Whoop, wrong side. Grit Gear Apparel is my shirts. I have a whole shirt line with them. Liberty Home Concealment flags as well. These are small family American-owned businesses. And as I said, Patch Ops is a veteran-owned business. As you guys may have seen, I was also doing Alpha Elite Performance. I'm not a partner brand with Alpha Elite Performance, but this is a special operations, veteran-owned supplement company. We have all these veterans that are out there trying to make a living, finding a different path. You guys can support every single one of them by supporting fellow veteran-owned businesses like Alpha Elite Performance. You guys go on my page. I post stuff about them all the time. I don't necessarily make money off of every single one of the posts that I do. I just want to be able to support organizations that and companies that I believe in as well. But if there's anything that I can say before we say goodbye tonight, folks, we have a choice, and we still have a voice. And there are so many men and women that are so much bigger than the voices that are trying to overpower our voices out there, that have sacrificed so much for us, that we can use those voices against the voices that are trying to overpower us, and don't be silent. We have a choice to live our dreams in these great United States of ours because of the sacrifices of those heroes, and we cannot let those sacrifices be forgotten. And the best way for you to do that is to get out of bed every single morning and be the best possible American that you can be. And thank you guys so much for having me. It's great to meet you. I can't wait to meet all of you in person. We need to party it up together, do a shot of tequila or whatever. You guys do whiskey, I do tequila. But
Oh, hell yeah.
at one of my concerts, and we'll blow the roof off the place and have a great time. But I
That'd be
can't thank
awesome.
you enough for having me. And I would love to come back anytime you'll have me on.
It's going to be an open. We got to finish that show. I mean, there's so much that we didn't get to, and it doesn't matter. We'll piece it together between what we did here and there. We'll have plenty of episodes. Ryan, thank you, man. Thank you for giving us a shot. We will do the same. I will continue to push this out to people. Thank you for everything, folks. I just want to go over a couple things. Ryan, if you want to jump, you can, or you can just stay for the 1 minute that this will take. Liv, you mind popping video button, please? The Don't Unfriend Me store. I want you first to go over to Ryan's sites that I linked all in chat. Please go there. Take care of veterans. You can go over to the Don't Unfriend Me store. You can listen to the podcast over there as well. You can get the audio podcast, the video podcast, all the episodes. Get yourself some great shirts, the apparel I'm wearing right now. You can get yourself the Holy Cannoli shirt and also the Leroy Jenkins shirt. We've got the blog. It really is built for you. It's got a ton of traffic. Go on over there if you enjoy the show, and you can catch all the older shows if you want to and get some cool stuff. 10% goes back to vets, and another 10% goes to Travis Mannion. Ryan will tell you there's not a lot of margin in clothing. I'm pretty much giving it all away, but that's okay. That's what it's about. Please do me a favor and go and do that. I will go out with the Veteran Crisis Hotline and end on this note. Thank you, DUM Nation. Please like, share, and subscribe. Do all that. Follow if you haven't. Go see Ryan at Ryan Weaver Country. You can do that, and also go to ryanweaver.net. Ryan, last word, go.
I just want to let you know there are a bunch of people asking about my music. If you go to my website, all of my music is on it. So if you, all the folks that are asking me about stuff in there, I don't have CDs. We don't have hard copy CDs because nobody buys them anymore, and you're just spending money on stuff.
You're old. Get your shit together and get yourself a phone. That's it. Okay.
Good night, y'all.
Get yourself. All right. God bless everybody. Good night, Ryan. We're gonna wrap up here in 1 second. Stay on, and then we all want to say goodbye individually. Let's just go out with this 1 minute and 30 seconds, and we'll all be back together.
I'm David Boreanaz with the Cast of SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets.
We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Your service is important, you are important.
For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call.
Hey, real quick, folks, real quick, before we jump on this, please do me one solid favor. Go if you could, and go and look up Still Point. They do our music. I have to go ahead and talk about them. STIILPOINT. While you're looking up Ryan Weaver stuff, go look up Still Point. They do our music. They're an amazing band out of Georgia. I would love to see them headline for Ryan someday. That would be an amazing thing if we could make it happen. Anyway, good night. I will see you tomorrow, Friday. Red Friday. Wear your red. Be here. There'll be a recorded show and a live show. Good night.